imagine going to school to find out what you're going to be for the rest of your life, and imagine being told that you're going to end up destroying it. This is an anime review for the anime called Demon King Diamo. Let's get started. Hey everyone, this is the Game Hunter here with another anime review. I think it's been a week since I did the last one. This anime was an anime that I was requested to look at, and it was an anime that I've actually heard about. Well, not heard about, I've seen the title, but I wasn't really truly interested in it. But you know, since someone suggested it and he wanted me to give my view on this anime, here you go. The one person that requested it, and you know who you are. Pretty much, this is an anime. This goes along the same vein that the first anime review had, Dead Alive Season 1. This is a harem, a very weirdly done harem in the sense that you got more than your traditional 3 girls that you have to spend time with. Plenty of girls show up, and how he gathers this harem is quite funny. The main character, whose name is Akuto Sai, like the very beginning of this video, I said that imagine going to school and finding out what you're going to do the rest of your life. Pretty much, Akuto Sai, the main character, ends up going to this new school that he transferred to. And he finds out, because in the school, when you're new, you had to go through a process, I guess a physical, in a sense that they had this little animal, whatever, in there in the school that he's like a fortune teller. He's gonna tell you what you're gonna become, and it's been spread around the school that this guy has never been wrong. So whatever he says you're gonna become, you're most likely gonna become it. Now, the main character, he ends up going through this process. He ends up putting his hand on the orb, the crystal ball that he's supposed to, and the little guy guardian actually freaks out, and he says that he's going to become the Demon King. Now, the Demon King is said to be this evil guy in this anime universe. He almost destroyed the world, but was stopped. I don't think I remember how he got stopped, but I know he was stopped. And I don't think they ever went into detail on how the Demon King was stopped. I think all I know is that maybe he was killed by the U.S. Army. I don't exactly remember, but he was stopped. And it was this main character, as all main characters do, if they don't like their destiny, they'll fight it. Another anime, which is another anime I want to review that does the same thing, but it's not a harem. But we'll get to that when we get to that. It's a certain anime dealing with a baby that can talk. No more than that. But back to the Great King Diamo, or the Demon King Diamo, whatever you want to call it. He pretty much, Akuto spends the majority of these episodes, which by the way are only 12, mind you. This anime goes by 12. It only has 12 episodes, and I have a small problem with this anime. We'll get to that in a minute, but they spend these 12 episodes dealing with the everyday life of school for him. Now that we know that he's supposed to become the Demon King, and the funny thing is, due to the fact that this school is magical based and a lot of technology is magical based, rumors, how on the internet rumors start spreading like crazy. It's really weird. They spread like weeds, and you really can't control them once you get to the toe point. Well, in this anime, that little fortune gets spread around the entire school within the first day. Like, it doesn't take long for the fact that he's supposed to call him the Demon King gets spread across the entire school. It's really hilarious how fast. So by the end of the first episode, everybody knows he's supposed to be the Demon King. But on to more characters. His harem, for instance. Okay, the first girl in his harem. Usually the main love interest for a lot of harem males. The first girl they run into. He happens to run into a blue-haired girl by the name of Junko Hattori. I think that's how you pronounce her name, Hattori. She comes from a long line of priests, I think it is. Like her family is a bunch of ninja priests. I think that's what she called them, what they were. And she runs into Akuto way before even any information that he's supposed to become the Great Demon King even got released. Pretty much, he runs into her. He runs into her helping out her grandmother. The funny thing is, the first interaction they ever had was her trying to kill him. Or actually not kill him, but choke him, put him in a chokehold. It's pretty funny how that happened. She's your typical, I guess you could say, tomboy wearing a skirt. As really weird as that sounds, it's pretty much she is. She's just your typical tomboy wearing a skirt. There's like a lot of not gimmicks, like there's like a lot of freaking gags with her. Especially with the fact that it seems like whenever these two get into a conflict, he strips her every time. And it's always by accident. It's the funniest thing ever. For some reason, that never gets old because they don't do it too much. After the first 2 episodes, in which he accidentally strips her using his power, it never happens again. But it's pretty funny because they go in. It's like these two end up fighting in the first 2 episodes all over a misunderstanding. She thinks he betrayed her because I guess she thought he knew he was going to become the Great Demon King. Because his goal, actually I didn't mention this before, his goal before any of this even happened, when he was trying to change the world. And in order to do that, he would become a Grand Priest. And pretty much he has to go through a lot of schooling for this to even be possible. So a lot of dedication, and you have to be pure and everything. You have to be pure from birth. Granted, this is shot in the foot when we find out he's supposed to be the Great Demon King, but this is before we find out. It said that you need to be pure from the birth and everything like that. She wanted to support him, and they became friends. But when she finds out about this, her attitude changes towards him, and he's like wondering what the heck's going on. It's all a misunderstanding. That's pretty much what his catchphrase is. This is all a misunderstanding. He can't get this through this girl's head. As I said, she's a typical tomboy. You know, like when she thinks something, it's gonna take a lot for her to change her mind. Granted, she does change her mind and starts becoming a lot nicer to him. But you know, at the end of all this, you know, he does something to make her realize that it was all misunderstanding, because I remember starts spreading around that, you know, she's doing this to him, pitting the entire school against him because of some type of love relationship thing going on. Like apparently it was a rumor going on, these two were going out, and apparently the school thought they were caught up in some kind of loveless quarrel. She can't get this to the people's head that this is not what it's about. And you know, Akuto's like, this is ironic, isn't it? I tried telling you this before and you weren't listening to me. She finally calms down and she, you know, helps him fight the school back, and that's the end of episode 2, in which these two, you know, become friends. But later on, but you also find out that she's really she's gonna support him, but if he does anything to threaten the world, she let him know she was gonna stop him. Okay, so we get to the next character within this entire situation. And he actually ends up meeting her. He actually ends up meeting the second chick, during the first 2 episodes, in which there was a misunderstanding between him and Junko. If I remember correctly, her name was Fujiko Ito. Now this is a schoolgirl in which, we get to the typical anime female in which she's got big breasts. And she's really hot, and she's probably the goddess of the entire school. This is what Fujiko Ito is. Now, we first meet her. She's a really nice woman, nice girl. She's the head of the female dormitories. She's a really nice girl. Later on, you find out that she's actually very manipulative. Jesus Christ. She's very manipulative. But this is actually the start. She's the start of what becomes something recurring, in the fact that because Akuto-san is supposed to be the Demon King, this starts attracting lots of women to him. I guess you can say the same thing with Junko, because but then again, the problem with Junko, and this is the thing about Junko, is like she never really gravitated to him. Well, not till later on. She never really gravitated to him because of the Demon King thing. It was very weird. Like, those two relationships were weird. But for Junko, I'm not gonna reveal much about whoever has in this anime. Because by this point, I'm not sure how you wouldn't. But some events transpire. We find out how messed up Fujiko really is. And it gets even worse once she gets into trouble and Akuta ends up saving her. Now, how she joins the harem, like this is, and he stated this very obviously. Like, it seems like no matter what, girls are gonna be attracted to him because he's a demon king. And she actually falls in love with him because her goal was to make him fall in love with her, and he was going to become her servant. This backfires on her, and she ends up falling in love with him, and now spends the rest of the series trying to gain his approval, so he'll love her, and they'll get married. And let's just say, if you guys love moaning sounds of an anime, she's gonna be the one you're gonna probably looking out for a lot of the time. I like her because of her personality. I also like her because of how fast she switched and how her plan backfired. She spent the first couple of episodes she was in trying to get Akuto's side to fall in love with her. She was doing all kinds of stuff. She was trying to get his trust. She even was trying to put a potion on him. It was just a bunch of stuff, man. She was manipulative as, oh my goodness. But at the end of the day, it backfired, and she became infatuated with him, and now she's the second girl in Akuto Sai's harem. Funny thing is, like, it is not. This is like probably not your typical harem, because usually every girl has an episode dedicated to almost after they even get inducted into the harem. This wasn't the case for this anime. They spent more time with Junko. But look at the next girl in his harem. Her name is Lily Shirai. I think it's like Shirashi. She's the head of the student discipline committee, and how she gets involved with the Demon King is another ironic twist. In order for Akusa Sai wanted to be able to prove to people that he was not going to become a Demon King. He was going to do everything in his power to prove to them that he was not going to become this evil guy. So, in order to do this, it was suggested to him to join the student discipline committee. Now, this backfires on him because now the student body is now thinking that he's trying to gain control over them, because that's one of the things the Demon King was noted for. He was able to gain control over people. He made decisions for a lot of people. They thought he was trying to gain control over the student body, and they weren't going to listen to him. But he still joins the student committee. He pretty much this is how he gets into a lot of his fights, and a lot of things start transpiring between him to become the Demon King. But back to Lily Shirashi, I think is how you pronounce her name. She actually ends up falling for him during an incident dealing with him getting an inheritance from the Demon King, the previous Demon King. Ironic, isn't it? She ends up falling for him through that, and actually ends up kissing him. Something that I think the first two never actually got a chance to do, as far as I can remember. Yeah, it's pretty much how she ends up getting involved with him. She's the head of the student committee. She falls for him during an incident dealing with, because she even said that herself she was going to destroy him, because she's fairly strong. She was going to destroy him if he became the Demon King. And then we got the next girl pretty much in the harem that we got a chance to see. Her name is Kinesoga. I'm trying to remember what she looked like in my head, so I can just get a good description about what she's like. I can't think right now what she looks like, and I'd rather not pull up on the internet right now because I'm in the middle of recording. But I feel like I don't have a choice to game on it, folks. Okay, and we're back. Okay, I just remember something. I was getting a couple of characters confused. Now we get to the last human character of his harem. Kinesoga, as I mentioned before, she's a childhood friend, and apparently, I guess there's like some story dealing with her, and I'm dealing with Demon King and her. But she's a childhood friend. He actually meets her during an incident dealing with Junko Hattori. Ironic, two of the chicks he's actually in his harem, he ends up meeting them. He ends up meeting them through the whole Junko incident that was going on. But she's a childhood friend, apparently, I think. According to the resources, she was a childhood friend. She doesn't really remember much of Akuto's side from when they first met, because they were actually both in an orphanage at the very beginning. Before the series began, they were actually in an orphanage. Um, but yeah, they have a childhood. I guess they have a childhood that I guess she doesn't remember. Um, he actually ends up giving her a beret that goes in her hair, and this is the bond that apparently Akuto Sai said that Akuto himself said that he remembers giving a beret to a girl before. She doesn't remember this. Um, Later on, some stuff starts transpiring that makes you kind of think that maybe this isn't the right girl, or maybe it is, and it just happens to be she lost her memory. Um, but a lot of things go on, and she ends up. It's actually really her that ends up ending the anime in a sense. Like she ends up saving a whole lot of people. I'm not gonna reveal more than that, but yeah, she does end up saving them. Another thing is somebody actually brought that I might have to bring up my presentation skills. I think when every time I mention a girl, I'm probably gonna have her picture show up somewhere on the screen. You know, somewhere on the screen somewhere. I'm not sure where or how it's gonna happen, but I guess you'll get a chance to see what these people look like, and if you like this style of, review in terms of me showing off character pictures, then I'll continue that, because I guess it's a lot easier. Until I'm able to get partnership protection, so that way I don't get hit, so that way I don't get hit by random Japanese companies, because I know it's gonna happen. But yeah, the next girl in his harem, which is the last, is an android by the name of Korone. Yeah, you heard me right, android. She the thing is with her, when these two first met, it was more of she was charged in watching him because he was supposed to become the Demon King. And usually people like that end up committing crimes and stuff like that. So she was charged to watch him. But as the series goes on with these 12 episodes, by the way, she as an android, which is kind of weird, but then again, as an android, she was part human. So pretty much she ends up falling for him, and she kind of jokes around with him a little bit, and it's kind of more of those joked out confessions, and which she kind of like confesses to him, that she loves him. But it's more of she does this in a joking manner. She actually likes to play around with them a lot of times. She makes them uncomfortable a lot of times on purpose. But I guess that's what you should expect from somebody who, from an android, for instance, who's never really had much interaction on that level between a human and between a human herself, because she's not really human herself. But yeah, she ends up, she ends up falling for him, and she's the last girl that I'm going to mention, because that's all he has. There's another girl, but actually she's not in his harem. Another character by the name of Hiroshi Miwa, he is the story's loser, but by the end of it becomes its hero. There's a legend dealing with him, dealing with his island, in which a demon king is supposed to show up on the island. It's gonna start causing a lot of trouble. Then the heroes are supposed to rise up and stop the Demon King. Now the problem with this is this guy ends up calling Akuto Sai Big Brother. Throughout the entirety of the anime, he ends up calling him Big Brother. Now this raises a whole lot of issues with me, because I thought he was gay at first. He isn't, by the way. I don't have any problems with homosexuality, but it was just very weird to see that. It's almost like they were inferring this. I guess even the anime creators were actually quite aware of this. They even kind of made the joke about it within the anime itself. But he ends up becoming a hero. His hero outfit is like a parody on Power Rangers and Kamen Rider, and I am dead serious. Mostly Kamen Rider, but it's still a parody on that. It's pretty funny. He ends up becoming a Kamen Rider, and as typical superheroes within stuff like Power Rangers and stuff like that, the public never knows the superhero's real identity. Except for one girl who he ends up falling in love with, and it's actually Junko's younger sister. Her name is Yuko Hattori. She is as good a ninja as her older sister, but the thing is with her, she has a daytime job as an idol. Now, a lot of you probably don't know, or a lot of you are not really familiar with Japanese culture and whatnot. Idols are usually what we call over here young female singers and actresses and stuff like that. These are young girls, by the way, who are put on gravure magazines, and by that I mean a lot of times Japanese males, when they have a lot of pent up stress, this is the way for them to relieve a lot of that stress. I'm not sure how true that is. It probably isn't, actually, now I'm thinking about it, because it's just an anime. But I honestly believe that maybe these idols do exist. But they're not really put on these magazines to relieve older men of their stress in a certain area. I want to believe that it's not the case, because that seems really weird. But then again, I think the Asian adult consent, like the age in Asian culture is a lot younger than it is over here. So girls can actually end up getting into situations in which they get pregnant because their age isn't as high as ours over here. The given age of consent. I'm pretty sure that's true, because I know that, this is not one of those videos, man. Get out of that mode. But yeah, we got that, and we got two other characters. One is not really a character; he's really a machine. He's called QoTD, and the next one is Peter Hausen, the inheritance that the Demon King Akuta is supposed to get. He ends up becoming his inheritance, and he actually he's a big old dragon. He's a freaking, I think he's supposedly a robotic dragon on top of that. He's supposed to be some kind of robotic dragon. He ends up getting him, and it does actually reveal a lot about the anime, and a lot of things that speaking of something that I really don't like is once you finally get to the Peter Hausen thing, and later on, this is where I lose not interest. I start losing my place, and by this I mean I get confused. I don't understand a lot of what was going on within the anime after this point, and this is because I think we actually I think by episode 10 is when I start getting really confused. Things start happening. We found out the Demon King actually isn't as bad as everybody thought he was, but because of the world's perception on him, he turns out to be an evil guy. And also how the world perceives this computer called God. Pretty much, it just starts becoming really weird. I start getting really confused. By the end of it all I know is that things get reset. He still has to become the Demon King regardless of what's going to happen. But we just get these we go through these transpiring things. Junko betrays her family. She ends up being with Akuto Sai for the remainder of the series. Akuto has to start living his life. This is my problem with this anime. It confuses me so much. Like, I can't comprehend. Like, the very beginning of the series was pretty straightforward, but then we get to near the end of the series, which, by the way, is only 12 episodes. The entirety of the series is 12 episodes. There isn't enough episode here to really explain a lot of things. And this is the biggest problem with this series. Well, this anime, and I'm pretty sure the manga, if it has ended, probably did a better job at this than the anime did. Granted, I'm not really interested in the freaking manga now because of the anime. So, I'm sorry if you were wondering if I was gonna like this series. It was okay. It wasn't better than Dead or Alive. I mean, Dead or Alive had like 12 episodes, and it did a better job at keeping the information fresh in my memory. That's probably why the Great Demon King, I haven't heard much about it, because it just wasn't that great of an anime. I mean, it was okay, I'm not gonna lie, it was okay, it was fun to watch, but it just, by the end of it, it's just not memorable to me. Like, there were so many things, like, for instance, like, what was the Demon King? The Demon King was created by God, and I'm trying to figure out how was that even possible. Like, so Akuta Sai was programmed to do all this stuff. We have a bunch of characters. I forgot one character's name. So much stuff in this anime wasn't explained. My biggest problem was how short it was, because they just didn't have enough time to. They didn't give us enough time to explain a lot of things. Just a lot of things got really freaking screwed up. This anime would have done better if it at least lasted 12 more episodes. Guaranteed, they could have explained a lot more within that time, within 12 episodes. Within 24 episodes of this anime ending. I swear this thing needed 24 episodes to explain everything. And that's my problem. this anime just didn't give itself enough time to explain itself. So that's my review. Sorry this is more of a ramble than anything else. But that's pretty much how I feel. It wasn't, to me, it didn't do it for me. It really didn't. It was a great anime. I'll reiterate that the entirety of the time. It was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't the best thing I've ever seen. Probably because I watched a few more harems before this one, and this is probably the lowest on the list of harems, if anything, I've ever seen. The action was great, but things just weren't explained enough. And we got something that's supposed to be, it's supposed to ride on its story. This anime, to me, just did not do it. If you watch this, do not expect to come out of it with answered questions. Do not expect to come out of it with answered questions. Things just got really confusing by episode 12, and by the end of episode 12, I was still confused. I would say this is probably below another anime that does the same thing, but I think it did a better job. It was just that it got really confused. There's another anime that got kind of confusing later on, but it still kind of fixed itself by the end of it. Great King Diamo, you did not. Dang it, man. It had a good premise. I just really wish it just done. It would have done better. It wrote in a story that really wasn't really there. That's about it. I'm rambling now. So that was this anime's review for the Great Demon King Diamo. I'm sorry if I disappointed some people with this review, but I can't. I'm sorry. It's just the anime itself was just very subpar. But that's just me. People probably love the anime. I'm surprised it didn't get any further with it. I'm pretty sure this thing had its own manga too, but I'm not interested in the manga because this anime didn't keep my interest enough. So that's about it. I hope you guys found this review interesting, informative. This is my for the people wondering what my feelings on the anime were. Here it is. Sorry if it wasn't what you expected to, but I just didn't find it interesting at after a certain point. So see you guys later.